So how much food do I need in order to have a 6-month supply? And what kind of food? I don't know what to buy. I don't know where to start. If you've ever had any questions like that, that's what we're going to discuss in this video.
Here we go.
Yes.
Wow. Well, hey everybody, I'm Bill with Live Simple, Live Free. And you know, I get questions pretty much on a regular basis of people wanting me to send them a list of things that they should start stocking so that they know what kind of food to buy and how much to buy. And I have to honestly tell you, I don't have a list. I can't tell you because I don't know how you like to eat. Every one of us has a different style of eating. And I don't know what kind of food you like. So I can't really give you that kind of a list. You know, one of the problems with a lot of the food storage companies that have a package that you can buy that's, you know, a 30-day supply or a 3-month supply or whatever of food, one of the problems is that they dictate to you what you're going to be eating. And there may be a lot of things in there that you don't like or you don't want or you can't eat for dietary reasons or whatever. And so you buy this thing and then you either end up not eating some of it or you end up choking it down just to survive because you don't like it. So the adage in food storage is store what you eat and eat what you store. I've talked about this before, but store what you eat. What does that mean? That means only store the things that you normally eat on a regular basis. You don't want to buy some big packet of stuff that has things in it that you don't normally eat and then you have to change your diet. Or, you know, you go buy beans and rice like everybody does, but you don't normally use beans and rice. And then when you come down to an emergency, you don't know how to cook it or you get so sick of it you can't handle it anymore. You need to store the normal things that you eat. And then you need to eat what you store. There is something called first in, first out. FIFO, F-I-F-O, FIFO. And that's eat what you store. You need to rotate your stock. And so you rotate it by every time you buy something new, you put it in the back, and then you eat from the front. And that way it keeps rotating. There's many different ways you can do that. When I first started, I had things on a flat shelf, and every time we bought a new can of something, I'd have to pull all the old cans out in order to put the new one back in the back and then put the older ones in front again. It was a pain in the neck. Thrive Life has a really cool food rotation system where you put them in at the top and it rolls around and comes down at the bottom. Kind of like the soup can dispensers, the Campbell soup that you may see at the grocery store. I'll put a link here so you can see the Thrive Life food rotation system. But it's important that not only that you store only what you eat, but that you eat what you store so that you rotate the stuff. You don't just buy, you know, 3-month or 6-month or 1-year supply of food, put it on the shelf and leave it there, and then buy and eat over here and just leave that in place. Eventually that stuff's going to go bad and you won't be able to use it unless you rotate it through. So every time you buy something, you put it in the back of your storage and then you eat from the front. So you don't in reality have a long-term pantry and a daily use pantry. In reality, you're always eating from your long-term pantry by rotating and put it in the back, take from the front. You do that over and over again. Okay. So then the big question is, what kind of food do I buy and how much do I buy? Most people, when they first start prepping, and I was the same way, we were the same way, you don't know what you're doing. You don't have a plan. Here's the main thing. You don't have a plan. So what do? You just start buying things at the grocery store, either things that you like or things that are on sale, but you don't know how much you're buying. You have no concept of how much you need. So you see something on sale, you just buy a bunch of stuff. Or you see something that you know, oh, I like that a lot, I'm going to want that, so you buy a bunch of that. After a while, you can sit back and look, it might take some time for you to accumulate the food, but then you look back and you think, this is great, I got a lot of food here. But how much do I have? I have no idea. How long will this last me? I have no idea. It's sort of completely helter-skelter in the way you buy it. You don't have a plan. So you just figure that when it's time to eat from the storage, you just go in, you look at what you've got, you figure out what you can make out of what you've got. And you find out that every single recipe that you try to make, you're short one ingredient. And you got all this food and you can't really put it into anything coherent to be able to make a meal out of it. And you don't know how much you have and how much it's going to last anyway. So, create a plan. Here's how you do it. Everybody has certain meals that they like, certain meals that they eat more often, meals that I call go-to meals. So what you do is you put together a list of all of your go-to meals. And you take out of that and you make an actual menu. Now, I would recommend a 2-week menu, but you can start with 1 week if you want. So you actually write down a menu. Let's just go with 7 days because it'd be easier. You actually make out a menu. Then you write down every ingredient that you need for each thing on the menu. Let's say, for instance, chili. I like chili. And I make the chili in the house. And when I am making the chili, I use canned things. 3 cans of beans. I use 1 dark red kidney bean, 1 light red kidney bean, and 1 pinto bean. And then I use a can of corn. And then I use a can of diced tomatoes. And then 1 of those small cans of tomato paste. And then generally a pound of hamburger. And then, of course, the spices and things. So I write all those down, what exactly goes into making a meal of chili. And then let's say that I want a 3-month supply in my long-term storage. So that's 12 weeks, right? So I take the ingredients for the chili to make 1 batch of chili and multiply it by 12. And then I go out and buy what I need to make 12 meals of chili. And then I put them on the shelf in some sort of a logical manner where I can see what I've got and what I need. This is my chili meal. And then every time I make a meal of chili, I buy the stuff that I need for the chili. And then instead of using the stuff that I buy, like I said, I put it in the back. And then I take my chili ingredients from the front to make my current chili, and that rotates stuff. So now I know that I have 12 weeks worth of chili. So you want to do that for every single meal that you have on your menu. So I don't know what you like, but chili, spaghetti, beef stew, just whatever kinds of meals that you can come up with. Now these, should be meals that are easily made from things that can be stored. You don't want to have steak and potatoes. I mean, you can do steak if you want, and you have to keep it in the freezer. And then I don't like doing that because there's problems, potential loss of power, and then you lose all of your food that's in the freezer. So plan on meals that don't necessarily need frozen ingredients, things that can either be canned, freeze-dried, or just plain dried like rice or pasta or something like that. So you put together all of your ingredients for the recipe for each of the 7 meals that you have on your menu. And then it's, of course, going to take a little bit of time because you can't afford to just go out and buy 3 months worth of groceries. I understand that. But you slowly start accumulating what you need to make just the meals on your menu. And then once you're completely finished with that whole list, now you can look at your meals and you can say, okay, I have 7 meals and I have 12 weeks of these 7 meals. So you can look at that and you know exactly what you got. You know that you've got every ingredient that you need to make those meals, and you know that you have 12 weeks worth of those meals. Then if you want to extend it to 6 months instead of 3 months, you can do whatever you want. Extend it to 2 years or whatever. As long as you're going from your menu of your go-to meals, and this is where you can expand it from 7 days to 14 days, so you have 14 meals that you can make for the next 9 months or whatever it is that your goal was. That way you know what you've got, you know that you've got every ingredient you need, and you know how many weeks in advance or how long that storage is going to last you. And then after that, after you meet your first goal, say your first goal is 3 months of 7 meals, then after that you might start thinking about adding some other things. Dessert items, boxes of cake mix or things like that, cookies, things like that. Now, the cookies you need to rotate more often or something like that. But just start thinking about expanding into more fun things to eat and not just the meals. Popcorn. Popcorn will last forever. Those kinds of things. And then, of course, you've got all the other things that you need to think about storing too, things like toilet paper and all that stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the food. So that way, if you use this system, you're going to know exactly what you have and exactly how long it's going to last you, and that you're going to be able to, or that you're going to like or be able to eat every meal that you've got. So that's basically it. That's the plan. I hope that helps. And, if you're using Thrive Life freeze-dried food, like I was talking about the chili, I know I need a can of this, can of that, and a can of hamburger. A pound of hamburger. Well, if I'm using Thrive Life freeze-dried food, well, I know that two cups of the hamburger is 1 pound, and I know how many cups are in a can, and I can look at each individual can and see how many servings are in a can, so I can know, okay, this can of Thrive hamburger is going to make me 4 meals or whatever, 6 meals, depending on how much hamburger you need to use in it. So this is the beauty, really, of Thrive Life freeze-dried food, is that you can buy the ingredients that you need in a can that'll give you 25-year shelf life, and you get just the ingredients you need to make just the meals that you like, instead of going to one of the other food storage companies and buying a 6-month supply, and then you get all this stuff that you don't know what to do with or you don't like, or it's got ingredients in it that you can't eat or whatever. So I really hope that helps to give you some direction. Sit down and make out your plan instead of just buying helter-skelter, so that way you know exactly what you're doing and how much food you have. So I hope that answers some of your questions. Thanks for watching. Live simple, live free. You be blessed. That way, when you take this, you're always using the oldest one so you can rotate it. See how that works? And then when you buy a new one, you just put it in at the top. Very cool. For the family size cans that I have here, each bay holds 7 cans, 2, 3,